What's up everybody, welcome back to the episode of Outlawed Motors. Today we are talking about increasing airflow by reducing restrictions and cooling down charge temps to create more power. This episode is brought to you by outmotoring.com, who is your go-to provider for all things Mini. Whether it's for OEM replacements, bolt-on performance, or blinging out your interior, they've got you covered. And today they hooked me up with NM Engineering's charge pipes, as well as Helix, much bigger intercooler that will replace this stock crappy one, which is almost laughable, it's so small. Now, one of the problems with a lot of modern forced induction motors that come out of the factory is there's a lot of restrictions built in. However, that's also an opportunity as it's free horsepower that you can get out of your motor by just removing those restrictions. I'm not only privileged to have outmotoring.com as a sponsor, but NM Engineering and Samco, who make the famous silicone hoses. So there are plenty of options when it comes to removing restrictions in your engine bay. On the Mini, there are two major restrictions. Coming from the turbo into the intercooler is this pipe, which has this odd shaped restriction. And honestly, it just kind of looks like it's a baffler when you open it up. It's got a bunch of holes in it, and I think it's predominantly intended to make noise, probably. Now, when comparing the pre-charge pipe, you can just see, obviously, that there's reduced airflow from this one to this one, which comes to the second pipe, which goes right into the throttle body. And this one has a silly opening that sends air into the cabin to create noise, which they call the noisemaker. Now, that's great and all if you want to hear the revs of your engine, but that is literally robbing horsepower from you because it's taking charged air from the intercooler and just sending it into your cabin so it sounds cool. To me, that kind of seems a little silly. So NM Engineering created a simple and elegant solution of removing these restrictions and widening these pipes as much as possible. The overall benefit is that the diameter is increased from 50 millimeters on these pipes to 59, so you're getting 9 more millimeters of airflow, which bigger the pipes, the more airflow, the more opportunity there is to make power. One of the other major benefits for replacing the silicone hosing in your engine bay is that the silicone hosing that is developed can handle way more boost. I have a bigger turbo, so obviously the charge pipes will have a much greater impact because they are allowing the turbo to breathe even more. Now, if you're not ready to upgrade the turbo or do any other major modifications, this is probably one of the best bang for buck modifications you can do because you're simply letting the stock setup breathe better. Now, I would strongly encourage you to take it one next level and remove this crappy little intercooler that comes on the Mini as stock. I mean, it's tiny, it's laughable. So using Helix Intercooler, which again Outmotoring hooked me up with, was a massive gain. Obviously, the more surface area on your intercooler, the more cooling that can take place, meaning there's more charged air because the air molecules are closer together. So kind of awesome. Now, as you may have started to take notice, the Mini's engine has taken quite a few different iterations. However, I have continued to evolve with the NM Engineering's charge pipes, but I took it two steps further and reflective wrapped the charge pipes so that they would have even better efficiencies, reflecting any heat away that might be heating up the aluminum. Now, one of the other benefits is that on the charge side pre-throttle body, I was able to weld a spot for the water methanol to be injected, which I will cover in a future episode. Now, I'm interested to see how the reflective heat wrap will have an impact. For me, it was more of an experiment, but I mean, I've seen it on every other race car, so I'm just gonna follow along and be a sheep on this one and find out if it actually has any impacts. Installing NM Engineering's charge pipes is not only one of the cheapest, most effective ways to gain power on the Mini's engine, but it's also one of the easiest to do. It is quite literally bolt-on, which is one of the nice advantages. The pre-charged air pipe that comes from the turbo into the intercooler is a little bit trickier to get to because you kind of have to navigate your way through a quite tight area, but with some patience, it is pretty straightforward. The other reason I recommend to do the intercooler at the same time as you're doing the charge pipes is because it's easier to replace the charge pipe when you have the front bumper off, and when you have the front bumper off, obviously you can easily swap out the intercooler. The intercooler is even easier to install than the charge pipes because it's literally 2 screws that come off. I took it one step further with the intercooler and got a Cerakote ceramic heat dissipation coating. Wow, that was a mouthful. That will ideally help disperse the heat even faster. Now, again, this is something new to me, so this is kind of an experiment. As you can see, there's still a little bit of work to go on the Mini's engine, so we're not going to be testing it out on this episode. However, I will have a full comprehensive performance review on everything in here at a later date this spring, provided that nothing goes wrong and nothing blows up. When it comes to silicone hosing, you really should only trust a few of the most reputable brands, Samco being one of the leaders in silicone hoses, and it is an identical fit. I mean, there's really no difference between the two, which is a huge plus and is a testament to the level of detail that Samco goes into to make sure that the hoses fit perfectly in your engine bay. Now, the one reason you may want to go with the Samco hoses over the NM Engineering is that it's a little bit more flexible, so it is a little bit easier to install. The other benefit to Samco's setup is that it is a direct bolt-on, so you don't have to remove the noisemaker, and you can still get those awesome turbo noises if you're not really too focused on power. Now, originally my plan was to use the Samco charge pipes, but in my quest for power and removing the noisemaker, as well as creating a spot for me to add a meth injection port, I went with NM Engineering's charge pipes. However, in light of that, I am giving this very set of Samco charge pipes away to one of my lucky subscribers. All you need to do is like, subscribe, share, and comment, and I will select one of you next week. Another shout out to outmotoring.com. They're one of the very first companies that believed in this channel and supported it. So a huge appreciation and thank you to them. If you like this video, make sure you like, subscribe, share, and comment. Also, if you didn't, you know what to do. Till next time, I'm gonna keep on conducting with my silicone hosing because I don't know what else to do with my hands right now. Till next time, have a good one.